Hey there, Shauna with Second Drawer Down. That's me. So I'm going to take you through a quick sewing tutorial here. It's actually a sewing tutorial from Joann's Fabric. It's a free pattern. Right there. Palm fringe scarf. Free! Free. All right. So it's creative ideas from Joann's Fabrics, which is really great. Sewing supplies and tools you need: 40-inch square knit or woven fabric, 2 2/3 yards, 8 feet, 3/4 inch palm fringe, basic sewing supplies, a sewing machine, iron, and a press surface. I have the woven fabric here. It's sheer, it's beautiful, it's turquoise with little diamonds on it. And to the palm fringe, I didn't do a fringe, I did tassel-y fringe, and this one kind of has the turquoise in it, and it's really fun, and I thought it would really go well with my fabric. So let's go ahead and get it cut down, and we'll get going. So I'm going to lay this out flat so I can make it. And I'm just going to fold this up into a great big old triangle. And I'm not being precise with this. If you need a ruler and you need to use cut guides, please do so. So when I cut my fabric, I made sure the print was on the inside because we're going to actually turn this inside out. We're going to turn this right side out. So I'm going to take my fringe here, my happy fringe that I have, and I have a piece of tape on the end. I'm going to tuck my fringe inside. So when we turn it right side out, after we sew it, the edges together, the fringe will hang out. That's what you want. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and take the top layer here and peel that away. So I only have one layer that I'm working with. Don't peel it all the way off, just a little bit, it's fine. Okay, then I'm going to put my fringe on the edge here. It's a little tough. It's going to take you some time, some practice. It's a little slippery. Totally okay. Make sure I have enough. So if you're using a standard sewing machine, you're just going to take the top half and you're just going to sandwich it over the top of the fringe there, and then you're going to sew probably, I would say, like in the middle of the fringe ribbon, so you have plenty and you have just a little bit sticking out. If you just want the fringe sticking out, go ahead and adjust your seam allowance so you're just sewing the fringe, because the fringe has a little bit of a dangle that's doing that. So it's completely up to you. I personally like the color, and I like the fringe ribbon to be kind of sticking out a little bit. So I'm actually going to run mine through the serger. So I'm not going to put any pins in mine because my serger actually trims as it goes. But I'm actually going to move my knife so it's not trimming this lovely ribbon off. And so my edge actually has a little bit of stiffness to it, which is what I want. So if you're using a serger, I would recommend folding your knife down. If you're using a standard sewing machine, just go ahead and pin the sides of your scarf together and get sewing. All right, so I have my scarf started. So I'm not using any pins, so I'm just lining up the edge of my, the underneath of my scarf, and kind of sandwiching the fabric together, making sure that my fringe is pushed into the scarf. I have folded down my knife so my blade's not actually trimming away. Usually on dresses and things like that, when I'm using my serger, I'll have the knife there, so the blade just like trims all my edges away, so I don't ever need them. But for this particular project, I don't want to do that because I don't want to cut my ribbon for my fringe. If you're using a standard sewing machine, you don't have to worry about that. Once you get your fabric kind of sandwiched together and you're feeding it through your sewing machine, it just starts coming together really easily. And then I will talk you through the turn when we get there. All right, so I think what I want to do with the corner is that I'm going to just sew, and then I'll snip off my my fringe, and then I'll get it going again on the angle, because the angle for the tip of the triangle is pretty tight. So we'll get that going here. I'm going to go ahead and snip it like that. Don't lose your fringe. Careful of the ends, because the reason that they tape the ends at the fabric store when they cut it for you is so they don't fray during travel and by the time that you get to use them. Simple but effective. It works with ribbons too. And yarn. It works with yarn. Alright, so I had on my fabric, I had a little overlap. So my two halves didn't actually fit together. So what I'm doing to compensate for that is, I will show you. So I trimmed my fringe at the shorter layer. Okay, so now I'm laying my new fringe half, or my cut fringe half, on the short side, right? See if I can show you. So I'm kind of tucking it in there and I'm pinching it with my fingers. So I'm also, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of smooch it off to the side so it'll match up eventually. And so it's creating kind of a little triangle there. Totally okay. It's going to get tucked under by your sewing machine. People will never, ever, ever, ever notice. It's all right. Okay, so I'm almost to the end of my scarf here. So I'm actually going to, I gotta stop sewing before I get to the end, because you still have to turn it right side out, and then you're gonna finish it with a little bit of hand stitching. All right, so here's this, still inside out, all the way. There's my point there, all the way over, and then bam. So I'm actually going to go ahead and trim this right here at the end. I'm probably going to end up trimming more off right there. Look, I have extra. I probably have, oh, I don't know, half yard extra. I don't know what I'll use it for. Maybe a purse, like a headband. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I like fringes. They're fun. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this bad boy inside out, right side out. We're going to go ahead and turn it right side out. So we left a couple inches in the opening to do that with. Everything out, everything out, everything out, everything out. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and hand stitch the rest of this. Tuck this in a bit. Okay. So I'm getting to the end now of where I'm pinning it. So I'm actually going to tuck my fringe kind of inside. So my fabric is kind of swallowing the end of my fringe, because the fringe will unravel. If you sew the fabric tight enough in the corner, it won't unravel. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so I have that edge all pinned up. Okay, so now I need a needle and some thread. So I have some happy white thread here, and I have a happy hand sewing needle here. Basic sewing supplies. We're going to go ahead and switch this off. There we go. So my timer says that I'm just about 40 minutes long here. That was with interruptions. So it says a 1 to 2 hour craft. I agree, it's about a 1 to 2 hour craft once everything is said and done. I'm just going back and forth on this. I'm using white thread. The base of my fabric is white, so nobody will probably see this. Keep that in mind when you're sewing. Okay, so I finished my corner, my sewing corner. I closed it up. Bam! All closed up. Nice piece of pie right there. I used white thread. Nobody will see that. Nobody's going to be like, oh, that's really beautiful and be this close to it. Only you're this close to it this one time. So I'm kind of folding it down so that the end, the loose end, is kind of tucked in towards the seam. And I'm just going to tack that down. All right. Here it is, a beautiful scarf with a fringe tassel. Okay, so this project cost me about $10. $10, an hour of my time. A beautiful scarf. Love it. By the way, I've seen these scarves go in retail stores for upwards to $25. All right, 25 bucks for this. Cost me less than 10 to make it myself, and an hour of my time. Totally worth the effort. And I look like crazy fashionable. All right. See, Marty loves the scarf. I love the scarf. I hope you love the scarf. Remember, you don't have to stick with certain colors. Colors don't necessarily go together. I used contrasting colors on that one. It looks freaking fantastic. You don't always have to do what the pattern says. Make it up yourself. If you think that it goes together and you think that it looks beautiful, by gum, it does, and you are going to make it look beautiful. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging in.